I'm flying through the air. I'm tracking down my SnortBucks brew. I saw you take my can, now I'm coming after you.
Oh shit!
You say it wasn't you.
I didn't do anything wrong.
But if it wasn't you, then who? Tell all the lies you want, I know you stole my SnortBucks brew. We're fighting in the air. Your hand gripped tightly round my SnortBucks can. Let go of what you stole and take your beating like a man. Now I'm falling through the air. I can see the spot I'm going to land. I'll hit the soft snow down below with my SnortBucks brew in hand.
Cookin Soul.
Christmas!
Therefore, sir, I do expect a massacre in there.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be extremely last minute on my part, but you know, it is what it was. I wanted to put something out on Goutmas anyway and whatnot. It's actually a few days till Goutmas, to be honest with you, but the playlist is already up and already completed, so I was going to be like, you know, there won't be a 13th video, no big deal, and I'll start the year off fresh. But then I saw this shit. I heard this Captain Save-A-Ho bull crap, and I'm like, yeah, I got to get it. I got to chase it. You know what I'm saying? It's what I do. It's the dog in me. I have to chase it. So that's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, season's greetings. Happy holidays. Merry Goutmas, because that's when this should come out, on Goutmas. And I hope you guys are doing well. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys are spending time with your families and not listening to my nonsense today. Hopefully you're watching it whenever afterwards and whatnot. But season's greetings and happy holidays to all of you, either which way and whatnot. Like I said, Merry Goutmas. I hope you guys are all doing well and whatnot. Big ups to my my peers and contemporaries in the field, right? You know what I'm saying? In my particular chosen profession as a detractor or whatever that nonsense entails. But hopefully you guys are all doing well. All right, let's cut the shit. So on the 20th, right, December 20th, which was like 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago. Yeah, it was like 2 days ago. This idiot, fucking DSP, goes up there and says that I could have helped people. I could have been a hero. I could have been someone. I could have been a leader. I'm paraphrasing now, but he could have been someone that people could have looked up to. He could have tried to help people. You know what I'm saying? He really could. He really wanted to. You got me. Oh man, that shit got me feeling a certain type of way. All right. So he goes along this. It's actually like 50 minutes of him ranting, but we're only going to go with the 10-minute part. I actually saw that. I think Ann has actually clipped it all out in its entirety, but Diggs at the last minute was like, I already got you, so don't even worry about that. But more than likely, Ann's will be linked down in the description if you guys haven't seen it or if you need to go over it again or whatever the case may be. Big ups to Raw Phil, which is where we all got this from. So big ups to that. Okay. So this idiot, he literally running around here talking about he could have been Captain Planet and his 5 chosen dents could have been the Planeteers and they could have actually done shit for people. They could have actually helped people. He had the knowledge, he had the data on certain things, and if he was only given a chance, he would have been able to speak out and been able to direct the narrative to make change. And one of the things he brings up is Sopa and Pippa. What he doesn't bring up is that there was a book either wanting to be written, someone wanted to write a book on Sopa and Pippa, or someone did. And they approached Phil and was like, hey, would you like to be in this book? Because we'd like to get your thoughts on it. And he didn't do it. Now, I have some theories on why that is. They're not exactly Theo theories, but I have some theories on why he didn't do that. I think, for one, he wanted to corner the market on what his quote-unquote his content was. So he wanted to keep everything on DSP Gaming, and he wanted to have everybody be directed towards that instead of it being split off to another medium where somebody else can make money, where someone else could get some quote-unquote clout, where someone else would benefit off of him. I think that's the reason why he didn't participate in that book. Another thing, this is separate from that, is DSP is a fuck-up. Phil Burnell is a fuck-up. DSP is a fuck-up. Darkside Phil is a fuck-up. Dark Geppetto is a fuck-up, and he knows it. And the last thing he needs is anybody going over there and reading this book and then going over to his channel and realizing, the fuck you put this fucking tard in here for? This guy is a fucking mongoloid. You know what I'm saying? He fucking eats his own feces and he drinks his own piss. Why the fuck would you include him into a book? And then that's even more harassment that he's gonna, it's really criticism, but you know what I mean? Criticism and harassment to Phil Burnell is the same damn thing. That he's gonna have to deal with. So that's why he didn't want no parts of that book. So now, I don't even know if the book was written, but if it was, he literally wrote himself out of history. So he can't blame a detractor, troll, hater, or critic for that. Now, let's get into what this situation is going to lead into. I've got 4 videos that are going to make this situation up. I'm gonna serve y'all good on Goutmas. I'm gonna serve y'all real good on Goutmas. So we're gonna go over DSP's initial 10-minute bullshit crybaby nonsense and whatnot about all the regrets that he couldn't be someone more important. And if he supposedly had all this information, if he supposedly had all this stuff to say, why didn't he say it? Oh, because I have to be popular. I have to be liked so people can listen to it. Good information is good information no matter where you get it. To be honest, good information is good information no matter what. So why did he hold it back? And then we're going to get into the real presence. The next 3 videos are I'm going to take y'all back to 2020. I'm going to take you guys back to the Evo controversy. I'm going to take you back to that Mr. Wizard shit. Now, in the hour or so that I was trying to pick what I wanted, I found a cornucopia of shit that even at that time I didn't go over. I can't give you all that. I can't do that. We're on a time crunch here. But what I can do is give you guys some select cuts. And that's what I did. They're not even the best cuts, to be honest with you. There's some questionable shit that I found, but we're going to hold on to that for a bit. But I'm going to give you guys 3 videos that are going to have some select cuts. They're not even videos, they're really clips that will try to help tell the story a bit. And then there's a legendary nonsense that he had back in the day about advertising and begging, all that. I found that by accident, so that's just going to all get lumped up in there. So it should be a fun time either which way. Yet again, Merry Christmas. happy Goutmas, happy holidays, and all of that entails and whatnot. So now that the nice guy stuff has been pushed out of the way, yes, believe it or not, I've been actually being nice up to this point. Now let's actually get into the actual slaughter that's being predicted. I can't believe this man had the nerve to sit here and try to play like he could actually have done shit. You know what I'm saying? If people weren't holding him back. When if you had something to say, you should have said it. You should have said it. No one sat there and silenced you. You silenced yourself. Because you believe that you need to be popular for people to think and or care positively about you. That shows, honestly, that he didn't respect the audience he had back then. And truth be told, he sold himself short. No one actually cut Darkside Phil at the knees and shit and let him hobble around and thought it was funny. He did that to himself. It was just easy to blame other people besides himself. That's the irony of it all. That's the irony of it all. But either which way, let's go ahead and cut the bullshit. Let's get into video number 1. 3 of these videos are all provided to us by the King of Gout, and the first one is by Raw Phil. So that's the way we're going with that. Links, actually, believe it or not, might actually be down in the description. I don't know about the Raw Phil one. If I have the URL for it, maybe. If not, he may have already privated the video at this point. But the other 3, the King of Gout ones, there might be a link for them. They might not. But don't worry, I'll tell you guys the dates and everything. Okay, so let's see here. First video on the docket. Let's see here. Raw Phil from December 20th of 2024. Here, I can give you the Ann title for his. It's pretty much the same damn thing. But anyway, Darkside Phil Prestream Recorded. I could have changed the world 10-minute struggle session. So there you go. Now, this is the other ones are going to be the more interesting ones, I think. Well, not more interesting, but they'll add to my point. I'm going to take you guys back to the pre-stream from July 22nd, 2020. I'm going to then take you to the pre-stream from August 2nd of 2020. And then I'm going to take you to a Street Fighter throwback session from September 11th, ironically enough, 2020, part 1. All right, let's stave off the anticipation. Let's go ahead and get in it. I believe this guy said this nonsense. Holy shit.
From Ponage 101 tipped, but
Okay, this is from the Bitch Fest from December 20th, 2024. Here we go. Actually, I think I have an insert for that. Like I said, I'm not. Big ups to Ann. He has a 10-minute segment of this, but it originally came from Raw Phil, so big ups to Raw Phil as well. That's where I'm actually using it from. All right, here we go.
it was in relation to the previous story. Okay, so hold on. So Ponage 101 did a $5.65 tip. Let's get him up on the leaderboard.
Actually, I should have said Captain Gout in the Gout of Tears. That's what I should have gone with. That should have been that should would have hit a little bit better. But you get my drift.
And he says the following. The saddest thing about the whole scammer situation, if there was no negative stigma attached to you because of your longtime stalkers and detractors, people would listen to you more and you'd have helped a lot more people, maybe other content creators, to avoid this situation.
Fuck that. First off, that wouldn't have happened anyway because the scammer situation is an all year round type shit. It happens all year round. Two, the FGC, which is what he chose to target, there's been guys who've been dealing with that shit since the beginning of December, since the end of November, to be honest with you. Most recent was, well, not even recent, because he's been talking about it for a minute, is Yoga Flame 24. He got hit. I don't know if he got his channel back at this particular point, but he was talking about it in that situation. There's that one guy, I can't think of his name with all due respect. I want to, is it Roffermonger? Something like that. But my apologies. That's not, if I didn't get his name right. But he was the guy who celebrated his 200,000 subs on Twitter and rubbed it in DSP's face, which I thought was hella funny. He's a part of the FGC too. He's taken jabs at DSP over the years, plenty of times. He got himself into some type of issue. I'm not sure if he worked it out yet, hopefully, but he's been dealing with that for a minute. That's been out there. There's been a bunch of people out there for the last few weeks who've been going through shit. If he knew something about it, why isn't he out there tweeting about that shit? Why is he waiting till the 20th to speak on that when he should have spoken on that shit a couple weeks ago on his platform? If he supposedly wants to help people so goddamn bad in the FGC, why isn't he doing that now? There are people in the political sphere who get hit with that shit. There are people in the gaming sphere who get hit with that shit. Why is he waiting till now? No one cut his throat and said that he couldn't speak. He did it to himself. He did it to himself. If he was trying to help people, you don't worry about fanfare. You just get the information out there. What information does he have? Some person who did a half-assed job with him and then immediately dropped that as the chameleons that they are and moved on to the next facade? DSP didn't stop shit. Oh, they dropped one persona to go to another one. Big deal. This shit is broken down to a fine fucking science, bruh. If you guys watch CoffeeZilla, that's far bigger than what DSP dealt with, and them cats almost always get away in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? So, like, who is he really helping? This idiot couldn't really help himself. The fact that they targeted him with RGB lights or whatever that fuck was is hilarious in itself, how they try to play upon his autism to get him scammed up. And that's if his story is even true. But everybody else, or at least some of these other guys in the FGC, they got hit for certain things. They were approached with certain things of interest. So that's neither here nor there. Here's the point. The point is, if he really had something to say a couple of weeks ago, why didn't he say it? The FGC, this has been something that's been going on in the FGC since November. Actually, some people say as far as October, late October. Why is he now speaking on that? Just putting it out there.
Yeah, this is what people don't realize is, oh, the memes, the jokes, the lulls, right? So what you did is for a decade, you made DSP the butt of your joke. And when you did that...
No, you're just a joke. That's all it is. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? You weren't robbed of any dignity. You didn't have any in the first place. That's the truth. Everybody knows it.
You destroyed my ability to ever help anyone on the internet because no one takes me seriously, right?
Well, you were never in a position to help anybody anyway. Everything you do is to benefit yourself, even within your own family. Everything that he does benefits Phil Burnell first. Then it benefits Jasper if he can make some money off Jasper. And then it benefits Catherine if he can make some money off her ass. Other than that, he benefits from everything. Let me give you an example. This idiot right here wants to tell you, the situation with review copies or advanced copies or this, that, and the third, it's all bullshit. It should be abolished. Why, Phil? Because you want everybody to get the game at the exact same time and you think you're going to beat them out and putting out the content? That's not going to happen. You're too lazy. So that's not even a thing. So then, if you guys really go back into your lore, he said, if anybody's going to get advanced copies or influencer copies or whatever, it should be from trusted gaming content creators. Okay, give me the definition of what a trusted gaming contenter is. Oh, he says someone who you guys know loves gaming, believes in gaming, and is about this and is not about trying to make a buck, but trying to put out entertaining and informative information. Guess who said that? So wait a second, you want all the supposed golden childs or chosen few to be pushed out so you can just have a whole nother group of chosen or golden children raised up in its place and you be one of them? How is that benefiting the industry? It's funny how everything he says that needs to change either has to put everybody on equal ground and or has to allow him to be above everybody else. How is that changing the system? And there's plenty of examples you can find that back up my particular point on that. He's illustrated that over and over and over again. This asshole can't help himself. If you're going to lie to somebody for 5 fucking hours straight to their face without a glimmer of consciousness in that, right? Like you didn't feel bad for a fucking second. Matter of fact, 18 months later, I'm sorry. let me calm down. 18 months later, you actually reveled in the fact that you did it. You felt proud that you did it. You looked into Craig's face and he's like, yeah, I lied to you. Yeah, and I lied to your little boyfriend too. So what? What are you gonna do about it? You did you know what you did and you did it on purpose. You were proud of it. If you would lie to somebody for 5 fucking hours, who's to say you wouldn't lie to anybody else, especially for profit? If you're willing to do that shit out of spite, if you're willing to do that just to be petty, how the hell am I supposed to believe you wouldn't do it out of or wouldn't do it for profit? Make that make sense. And that's his problem. And that's the reason why no one wants to interview him. That's the reason why people don't want to be around him. Because DSP, here, not even really fully into the video yet, and I'm already spurging the fuck out. DSP is like a broken cup or a broken bowl, if you will, right? He tries to conform to whatever it is that you want him to, or whatever he thinks is going to get him over. The problem is the substance, it leaks out. The fakeness, the fraud that he is, the poser that he is, all that shit leaks out, and then all you're left with who he really is. It always comes to the surface, or it's always exposed at the end. Once the facade fades away and all that bullshit, once all the help fades away, right, Kino Casino? Once all that shit passes the fuck off or whatever, and you're only left with that broken cup or that broken bowl or whatever, now you're just dealing with the bullshit again. And that's what his major problem is. That's why no one wanted to deal with him, because everybody knows it. Everybody knows he's full of shit. Trust me. And, I mean, it's already showing now and it's already proven now, but in a few years, though, it's really gonna, one of the defining moments of DSP outside of the flapping is going to be that Craig interview with side scrollers. No, sorry, it's going to be the side scroller interview, and then it's going to be the Craig interview. Those right there are going to be the three. Those are going to be three of the most pronounced examples of Phil Burnell's personality. Who he is, what he is, how he conducts himself, and why. It will. It's going to take time and whatnot, because, it's kind of something that's fresh and whatever. It's only, within the last 2 years, but eventually people will gravitate to it. And then he's going to have to answer for it. And then what's he going to tell them? The same thing he tried to tell Craig. Oh, I lied to you and Adam for 5 hours because I knew you guys were talking to detractors. So I was already at a disadvantage. So what did I have to lose? You're just going to give people even more of a reason to not listen to you or not interact with you. No one wants to deal with fucking liars, especially people who are willing to do it blatantly. We'll see.
Right? Now, to some extent this year that did change. Okay, and I'm happy for that. Really, I am. Like, I'm happy that now there are some people who listen, and it's I got a little bit of clout back, at least. Okay.
When did you initially have clout? If you've been listen to him. If you supposedly have been fighting this fight for 10 years, what clout did you really have? And what little bit did you get back? Bitch, this isn't Blade 1, where Homegirl is basically talking to Blade on why you're so angry at vampires and shit like that, and he's like, they killed my fucking mother, and every time I kill them, I get a piece of my humanity back. This isn't that situation, bitch! You never had nothing from the jump. You never had clout. You were a laughingstock even back then. There was just more people willing to listen to the bullshit. That's all. But that's not necessarily clout. And it didn't amount to anything. That's why people clown people who chase clout. Because clout don't put food on the table. Clout doesn't help your standing with shit. Especially if you can't maintain it. Especially if you can't maintain it. If there's no real substance to you, clout is nothing more than a cloud that only has value, or only has as much value as you're willing to give it. Nothing more.
But when you make someone the laughing stock of the internet and you run with memes and you just make them a living meme, even though they have nothing to fucking do with it, that's what happens. Remember, before all that happened, I used to be someone who could make a video about an impending law or bill that was going to be passed in the United States that could very negatively affect a ton of people.
You mean that law that was out there that you sat there and bitched and complained about, saying that you were scared that you were going to lose your livelihood? And then you went ahead and tacked other people on too to make it seem like you were invested in the overall situation? Bitch, those were nothing more than panic videos because your ass is scared to go out into the real world and get a job. That's all it was. That's all they ever were. That's the only reason why people watched them. It was funny watching your dumb ass sit there and panic over what essentially came out to be nothing. It was funny to watch you sit there and squirm on a subject that you clearly knew nothing about, or you barely knew anything about, and try to spew it off and be like, hey, you guys need to go out there and fight for me so I can keep doing this for a living, which is essentially what all those videos were. Go out there and vote or do whatever the fuck so I can keep my way of living. But this is coming from the same ass clown, ladies and gentlemen, who doesn't vote himself. But he has the nerve to ask other people, not even ask, demand other people to vote on his behalf for his benefit? Okay.
And people would listen. I made that bill about SOPA, PIPA, S.97A, all that shit back in the day, over 10 years ago. Those videos got hundreds of thousands of views, and got people talking about the subject.
There's people speaking on that before you, which is the reason why when DSP says, I could have helped people, I could have changed the world, you weren't going to do shit, because there's always going to be someone before you who has said those exact same points. You're just echoing, right? Or you're just repeating what someone else said. Now, you guys may have different audiences or whatever, and you could say, oh, I could have spread the word or helped spread the word, but you damn sure are not the source. You're not the word. You're just passing that word on. That's it. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's all that is. And to sit there and try to take credit for that is fucking wild. But semantics.
They got more people informed and involved and active in our government, and to stop it, and none of that shit passed. And then all of a sudden, oh, Phil's a joke because
you were a clown before that. You know what I'm saying? You were a piece of shit before that. No one took you really seriously before that. Whatever.
This is how you don't play because of this reason or that reason. It's like,
wait. This is how you don't play is your fault. You've even admitted that in recent years that you handled that situation poorly. So you don't get to go back and cherry pick. If I don't even know if I can say it's cherry picking at this point. But then again, he keeps drinking cherry juice, so maybe that fits. But you can't keep going back and cherry picking, saying this is how you don't play, fuck me up, when you've admitted on multiple occasions, especially in recent years, that it was your fault. The way you handled this is how you don't play is why, you're perceived the way you're perceived. Whatever. Just fighting uphill and shit. That's what happens when motherfuckers try to ice skate uphill.
You pathetic fucking excuses for humans. Allow me to repeat myself.
Yes, please do, because you're not getting through to me at all. I'm not the fucking 42-year-old guy sitting here crying about being a fucking meme for 10 years who has to beg just so he doesn't have to eat cold cut sandwiches and shit. Has to beg for supplies for his fucking cat. You know what I'm saying? Has to fucking come up with this harebrained scheme so he can have DSP Trizits guaranteed every 10 days. That's not me. Who's really more pathetic in all this? You're the one that puts this out there. You didn't think people weren't going to have something to say about it? You really thought you were above criticism? All right, then.
You pathetic fucking excuses for humans who thought that it was in everyone's best interest to try to make someone a living joke.
But they didn't try to make you into a living joke. You are a living joke. You said you've been dealing with this for 10 years. Clearly, you haven't been able to fix the problem. And clearly, there is a problem because you've been fighting it or you've been dealing with it for 10 years. It sounds like mission accomplished, if you ask me. Whatever. I may be a bit biased. I might be a bit biased in the situation.
For a decade, who used to actually try to go out of their way to help people.
You think helping people is you going out of your way? Either you help people or you don't. Either you believe in doing it or you don't. What, you were supposed to get brownie points for going out of your way? So when Sopa and Pippa happened and you were crying like a fucking battered bitch about how you might lose your income, right? Or your way of living or whatever the fuck. Your way of existing, really. You don't live, you exist. Was that other people going out of their way to help you? Is that how you view it, Phil? Sounds like charity, right? Is that what that is, Phil? Is that what charity is to you? You going out of your way to help people? Not that you actually believe in helping people. You feel like going out of your way to help people. I just want to know. You know what I'm saying? I want to know. That's all. I just want to know.
But it's, as long as everyone can laugh at this meme that they recognize, that's cool. Forget about the fact that, I've been around for 16 years.
What the fuck does that mean? What value does that have to me? What hold does that have on me? I don't give a fuck about your 16 years. I don't give a fuck about your 42 years of existence, let alone the 16 years that you ain't sat there and embarrassed yourself and your fucking family online. I care not about any of that, to be honest with you. The blood's still going to flow, and it's just going to be another dent for the fucking dent throne, as far as I see it. It is what it is. Blood for the blood gods all day with that.
I'm well informed on internet, gaming,
You're well informed, really? How long did it take for you to put that PC together? Or PCs together? How long did it take you to figure out the operating systems for those things? Matter of fact, how long did it take you to fucking mod that arcade stick? How long did it take you to do that shit? You're well informed though, right? So how long did it take you to do that shit? How is it that you're so well informed but you can't figure out how to play a game a lick? You can't figure out a puzzle to save your fucking life, let alone your family's. How is it that you can't figure out how to budget? And that's why you have to beg and plead with people for your little $300 a day. Tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what your life's like. You're so well informed, then tell me something. Tell me something that I don't know, or something that I should know. You can't. You get all your shit off. You get all your shit off Twitter. You don't read articles. You don't follow anything. You follow what you think is relevant. And most of the shit that is relevant, you don't like. So that's why you don't know nothing about it. That's why you have to convince these dents to give you money to play shit. Because you know that it's popular. But for whatever reason, your fucking autism basically tells you, no, don't do that, because you're just going to be a sellout like everybody else. Make them pay you for it. And then you get mad when they don't pay you for it. And then whatever else that you present in its place that you think is going to be good, it turns out to be trash. And it doesn't necessarily turn out to be trash because it's a bad game. It turns out to be trash because you're bad at that game. That's what that shit is. If you really break this shit down, the only reason why you're a fuck up is because you're a fuck up.
YouTube issues. I could definitely give informed takes and things like that. No, who cares about that? Right? No. Instead, we have to laugh today collectively at something like a bunch of brain dead cows, sheep, have to have this herd-like mentality of just dunce level intelligence. So let's just degrade DSP.
I mean, no one has degraded you more than yourself. No one has brought you down to the lowest points that you've been but yourself. It's funny to me, actually, that you keep promoting drinking on the holidays, right? Or for the holidays or whatever. And you're an alcoholic. So then what, Phil? I mean, supposedly you've beaten this alcoholism, just like your depression. But if you slip back into alcoholism a deeper stage of alcoholism, are you going to blame other people for that? Are you going to say, you guys shouldn't have paid me for it? Yeah, I offered it, but, excuse me, I'm an addict and I couldn't control myself, but you guys went ahead and contributed to my alcoholism by paying me to do it. Is that the next gimmick? Is that how you're going to blame people? Because it's funny how every time you buy liquor, right, if not a portion of it has already been drunken up before you start charging people to drink it, it disappears from the ether after the fact. And who knows what the fuck happens to it. And then when someone a couple months later asks you what happened to it, basically you sum it up as, oh, I drank it that weekend. Or I drank it within the week of me showing it to you guys and having it on that event. That sounds like an alcoholic. That blatantly sounds like a fucking alcoholic. And then the way that you look like you're so twisted up at night, it looks like the drinking really doesn't stop. What do you have to say about that? It's not my fault you're a fucking drunk. It's not my fault that you can't handle yourself mentally, physically, or otherwise. That isn't my problem. I didn't put you there. You put yourself there. You're just mad at me because I laugh at it. You're just laughing at other people because they laugh at it and make money on it. But aren't you monetizing your own grief? Aren't you monetizing your own addictions? So why can't anybody else get a piece of that too? If you're willing to put it out there like that, it is what it is. Like WWE champions, right? That's the reason why you say no one cares. No one gives a shit that I play WWE champions, guys. No one cares. That's my dirty little secret that I've been hiding for years and lying about for all this time. No one cares anymore. And yet everybody knows that's where the money goes. Just like your alcohol. Just like whatever pills that you have to take to help you get through the day too. And God knows, who knows what fucking Cat has to deal with, because she ain't put on all that weight. That right there tells me, at the very least, that she lives an absolutely miserable, empty existence. And whose fault is that, Phil? Is that my fault? Is that Tevin's fault? Is that Ann's fault? Is that Agent Proper's fault? Is that SnortBucks' fault? Is that Mighty D's fault? Is that Hate Army's fault? And et cetera, et cetera. Like, you know what I'm saying? Going on and on. Is it everybody else's fault that you can't control your life? And that you bring nothing to it? And by proxy, since you don't bring anything meaningful to your own life, you can't bring anything meaningful to anybody else's life either. That's why Jasper's all fucked up. That's why Kat ain't sat there and put on all that weight. And God knows that chick has thyroid issues or whatever, diabetic or whatever else is on the table for her ass. But it's everybody else's fault though, right, Phil? Okay, I got you. No problem. Fuck it.
Even though he has stuff to say that could help people. Ignore all of it because, he's a joke, right? No, fuck.
Don't you have a podcast that you run every day? Are you not saying meaningful shit on there? How's that helping anybody? Is any of the dents getting ready to file for bankruptcy again? Are people still throwing up their dead wife's insurance money at you? Is people still not able to afford a car, new or used, because they need to help your ass out? Is that you helping people, Phil? I'll wait.
You really mouth-drooling fucking morons. Because for a greater part of a decade, you're the ones who degraded human existence and fried everyone's fucking brain cells with your idiotic, just trivial shit.
That's a whole lot of credit you're giving to people, Phil. That seems strange. That seems real strange that you would commit. Let's reword that. No, I'm right. It's really weird that you would commit that much influence and power onto a group of people that completely and utterly shattered your image, as if your image was really anything good in the first place. Like, you got to understand, the reason why detractors, trolls, haters, and critics have the amount of ground that they have on them is because DSP was already operating at a deficit already. He was already looked at as a greedy piece of shit. He was already looked at as a selfish piece of shit. He was already looked at as someone who would bleed his friends for everything they were worth and then discard them on the next second. He came across as someone who would take advantage of his young girlfriend and whatnot to make himself feel better, but treat her like absolute shit as well. He's someone who only looks at his family something to be used when he needs them to use them, and then after that, he puts the asses on the shelf until he needs them. Those are behaviors that he had long before detractors, trolls, haters, and critics started up. If anything, he's the one who gave birth to that shit. He gave birth to all this. And the reason why is because he can't help who he is. Phil Burnell is regretful of the decisions that he makes. Darkside Phil don't give a fuck. He thinks he's above it, and he thinks he can eventually beat it. DSP is going to keep doing whatever he has to do to keep ahead of the trolls and everything else. All three of them are fuck-ups. And if you really look at it, he compartmentalizes himself in the three ways that I've just given you an example of. And each one of them comes out in a different way, in a different circumstance or a different situation. For example, when he's twisted up, you know what I'm saying? Once he got that drink in him and shit, and he starts feeling remorseful and depressed and whatever bullshit, that's Phil Burnell. Realizing that he's a fuck-up. And he's always going to be a fuck-up and he can never change it. Darkside Phil thinks everybody's just hating on him and whatnot, and it's everybody else who's holding his ass back, and he's better than everybody. He can do no wrong. If he fucking chokes and whatnot, it's because of God. It's because of air. It's because of Gaia. They screwed up. They're the reasons why I can't fucking breathe at this particular moment. It ain't his fault. And DSP just shits on everybody because he ain't have nothing else to do. Shit on everybody before everybody shits on you. Who's really at fault here then, man? Who's really at fault here?
It's just so trivial, nonsensical garbage. But you got your lols, you got your laughs, right? You made a buck on the internet, right? Yeah, and now we're all dumb. Now look at the fucking world, right? Look at how stupid people are on the fucking internet. Because this is what you did. You made a joke out of everything. So now here we are in the modern day, and I get approached by a scammer, all right? And I tell you guys about it. And thankfully, some people did listen. I'm happy that some people...
Nobody of relevance listened to it because they were already dealing with it. That's the thing. They were already dealing with it. You came in late. You didn't add anything to a situation. You did it for clout. You did it to try to make yourself seem relevant and shit, but you didn't actually help anybody. And the word was already put out amongst FGC Twitter as well as on Reddit that, hey, look out for these certain things and how they word it and this, that, and the third. That beat you by weeks. People were already dealing with the fallout. I'm sure there's some people who stumbled across it and had their problems, but they have friend groups. They have people who they could go to and be like, hey, man, I think I might be in trouble. Can you help me? Yeah, I got you. What's up? Someone, I won't say who, but there was someone who actually has a Discord mainly just to try to help with that shit. So what did you actually contribute to that with your 300 views and shit on your little fucking daily therapy session and shit? What help did you actually have? Did you post that shit on Twitter? Did you post your story on Twitter, or was there not enough characters for it? Did you go over there on your dead Instagram account and do it? If you want to make an impact, YouTube is not your platform, champ. You lost that a long ass time ago. If Twitter was supposed to be for business, why aren't you putting that shit out on Twitter? Semantics.
Listen, and hopefully this helped avoid some people having their businesses, their livelihoods, their YouTube channels messed up. I really hope it did. But if I were anywhere near as big as I used to be and people actually took me seriously rather than, oh, it's that guy, that joke on the internet that everyone makes fun of, probably I would have helped a lot more people. Do you understand? So you got your lulls for a decade, but now people have lost their livelihood. And I could have helped them, but you don't care. Well, maybe.
But you can barely help yourself. And if you guys want an example of that, look at no further than Liveria Media and Fotabi. Were you so smart then? Or was that SOK? Was that Freddy Boy who ain't sat there and pulled your ass out of that pan? I'm just throwing that out there. Or what about the Escort Saga? Were you handling that well? Or was that Medicare and the Kiwi Farms who pulled your ass out of that pan? I'm just asking.
In the scope of things, you're the insignificant person who doesn't matter. Did you ever think about that? Just because you got to laugh for a decade at me, at my expense, right? You've fucked stuff up. You get it?
For who? For who? Even if you were relevant, you're not relevant. So, for who? Like I said, this is incredibly self-gratifying. Like, basically, he's like, hey, I'm mad that you guys that I'm not in a position to get clout. I'm not in a position to be popular. But I thought the internet loved you, Phil. I thought the internet was giving you a second chance, a third chance, a 300th chance, whatever the fuck. I thought that's what the situation was. I thought you were good now. I thought you were past the memes and all that bullshit. So why are you sitting here crying like a bitch? I mean, you're going to keep bleeding all over the floor, or you're going to actually do something? Which one is it?
Like, I could have been someone to help people with this kind of stuff. I would have liked to. I was at one point.
Oh, I could have been important. I could have been relevant. I could have been someone that was revered. Yeah, and you decided to be an idiot. You decided to come online, be a fucking drunk, useless, ridiculous vato, and people treated you the way you acted. That's what the problem is. People treated you, people view you the way you act. It doesn't have anything else to do with anything else. If you didn't do the stupid shit, people wouldn't clip it or edit it and put it out there, and then ass clowns like me wouldn't sit there and react to it. Okay, but yet again, if you're a Brunel, it's everybody else's fault.
But you just had to laugh. Well, now, so now people are at fault for laughing at it. So it's bad enough that he said it. It's bad enough that someone clipped it. It's bad enough that someone edited it. It's bad enough that a bunch of people sat there and went over it and laughed at it or gave their opinion on it. But now the audience is at fault because you laughed at it. Who knew? Now people have lost their livelihood and their YouTube channels. Is it funny? Are you laughing? What if it was you? Ha! And it's your fault. You're to blame.
I don't know. I feel like I'd be smart enough not to commit to some shit like that. Or if I was given an offer and I didn't understand it or whatever, I think I would be relevant enough. Not relevant enough. I think I'm rational enough that I could go to people who are a bit more versed in this and get an opinion. I think that's a thing. And also, I had this strange thing, Phil. I know this is going to be alien to you, but I had this thing called a family, right? So, like, I can go to them. Here, something even crazier. I have this thing called friends. I have this group of people around me. They're not a thing. But I have this group of people around me, these entities, if you will, around me that are called friends, right? In IRL, like real people that like I can go to and talk to them about that. I'll do you one even better. I have this other group, this other entity of people around me that, you know, online friends. It's a wild concept, I know. But there's that too. And then I can even do you one more. I have this other group around me, right? This other entity or groups that I actually frequent around that I call associates, because that's really all we are. We're all associates and shit. And I could go to them. I could ask them if that was the case. Wow, man, I got all these layers around me and shit. Is that the point you're trying to make, Phil? If you weren't considered a laughingstock, you weren't considered a joke, you would have all these different layers of people around you to help coddle you and walk you through life because you're too stupid to go ahead and take 10 or 15 minutes worth of time of doing some actual research on your own to figure out what's what? Is that what that is? I don't understand. Is this like, what is this supposed to be, a playthrough of life, and you expect to be held through it? And when you fuck up, it's the developer's fault? Is that what I am to you, Phil? Is that what every other detractor, troll, hater, and critic is? Are they developers? And you're mad because your life didn't come out the way they wanted, or the way you wanted, because they didn't develop the game well enough for you? When do we blame God for this, or whoever? For where's their responsibility in all this bullshit? I'm just wondering. I'm curious. I'm really curious on what you want from people. I don't get it, and you sound fucking insane. Oh man, oh man, I can't wait to go over the thing that led up to this. That's just gonna be hilarious.
Any of you out there who just thought, let's make Phil the butt of the joke just to get a rise today and do this meme on the internet, it's your fault. Directly. Not even indirectly, it's directly your fault.
So are all of us gonna basically get the evil AJ status, where you're scared that we're gonna come to your house and possibly murder you? Here, I'll do you another one. Are you? Is this the what was it? He's playing Batman. Oh, is this when you sat there and got swatted? You didn't get swatted. You got fucking. It was a wellness check. But is this when you got swatted and you treated? And when the initial swatting happened, allegedly swatting happened, you said you didn't care. Oh, they only interrupted the playthrough. No big deal. Then the next day or the day after, I'm pretty sure it was the next day. Then all of a sudden that you almost got me killed. You, yes, you. Is that what this is now? Is that how everybody's getting ready to be elevated? I mean, I've heard that high tides raise all sails, but is this where we're going with it now? God damn, dude. Ann was right. This really is a struggle session. Jesus Christ.
Because you thought it was okay to try to destroy someone and their public, their.
I didn't have to destroy you. You destroyed yourself. No one set out to destroy you. Shit, Fred fucking and SOK get fucking shitted on by fucking, what's his name? Sammy Samosa about this shit. Sammy was like, hey, if you were going to destroy fucking Phil, why haven't you done it yet? And Fred said, we're not out to destroy him. Or at least not in the way that Samosa was thinking. So trust me, if they wanted you knocked off the census, you would have been. At least the internet census, I should say. Let's be clear about that. if they wanted to knock you off the internet census, that would have happened. Because the less you have to claw towards, the less motivation you have to claw towards. Let's start over. The less that you have to claw to, the less effort you're going to put in to claw for it. In the story, like 10% of nothing is still nothing. If there's nothing for you to work towards, you're going to not work towards it. Basically, you want proof of that? Look at Wings. Wings is a fantastic example of someone who literally has nothing. And that's the reason why he acts the way he acts. Don't be wrong, I think it's the Lexapro or whatever drug he's on to numb his ass. But truth be told, he doesn't have any value in life, and he knows it. And he's not even scared of it anymore. He's just accepted it. And that's brutal, but it's true. The dude doesn't have anything to live for. That's why he acts the way he acts. That's the reason why he moves the way he wants to move. And that's the reason why he's probably the biggest deficit on that fucking show. Even though he's making his 2,000 plus a month or whatever. The dude's fucking useless. I may have to get back into some Winx content going into next year, in the 2025. Why not? Fuck it.
Reputation, public opinion about them. You just thought it was funny. There was no other reason to do it. You just thought it was funny. But you didn't think big. Instead, you thought in your own little brainless mouth drooler bubble that the memes of the internet and laughing at them was more important than big picture shit. So
wait, so was I supposed to take into account or take responsibility of your life? Was I supposed to value your life so much that I was not allowed to have a laugh at the dumb shit you do? Wait, what? Since when? Since when do I have to take any type of personal responsibility in this situation? I don't know you. Well, I know you. I know you, but I don't know you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know you well enough to where I need to care about your fucking personal well-being and shit. I already get criticized for giving you good advice, just like any other detractor who does it. But when the fuck was I supposed to take personal responsibility for your well-being? Are you fucking crazy? Oh, man. This guy is basically saying, let me give you guys the piggy translation. This idiot's basically saying he's basically saying that he wants us to basically babysit him. He basically wants us to take care of him. Like, we have to have personal accountability in his life. Oh man, so that's what we're doing now? We're asking the ops to take care of us? One minute we're supposedly wanting him dead. The next minute we supposedly want him to get a divorce and we want his family to fucking fall apart. And now he's basically asking us, demanding us in a lot of ways, to take care of him so he can have a better existence on the internet. But what about all those other YouTubers that he slandered and said all kinds of crazy shit about? What about all those people who lost their jobs at Machinima and he said he was glad for it? What about all the nonsense he said about people who were getting review copies and advanced copies during the State of Decay 2 debacle? When's he going to take responsibility for all that shit instead of deleting tweets like a coward?
All during this time frame when the YouTube adpocalypse was happening and I had concrete data to show what was going on. Everyone ignored me. During the time frame when YouTube was cracking down and I had all the data because I had tens of thousands of videos and I could help people. People ignored me. All these times when things could have been helped out or better. But, let's have a laugh today at DSP because, he had an incident in 2016 and he plays WWE champions, right? All right. So, in truth, sorry for me, I'm about to drop a little holiday truth bomb on everyone. All right. Are you ready for this one? If I never existed, if I had never made a YouTube video, if I had never had any prominence on the internet, if I had never bothered turning on a camera, pointing at a TV, and doing really stupid commentary, if I had never made tens of thousands of videos, all right, here's the truth. Tons of people never would have been YouTubers. Tons of content never would have been made. People wouldn't have been inspired to do what they did. And the world would be a very different place. Okay? If I never existed, a lot of positive things.
Let me stop. Sorry, I got distracted for a minute. Give me a second. I had to take it back a little bit, but we'll go from here and we'll see what's what. Sorry about that. All right, here we go.
And big picture shit. So all during this time frame when the YouTube adpocalypse was happening and I had concrete data to show what was going on, everyone ignored me. During the time frame when YouTube was cracking down and I had all the data because I had tens of thousands of videos and I could help people. People ignored.
Help them with what? Your situation was different from other people's situation. On top of that, you were with Machinima. And on top of that, the reason why that any data that he had, if he had displayed it with full honesty and good faith, people would have realized your views are dropping and they've been dropping. Anybody could have gone to Social Blade and seen that. That was his main problem right there. On top of that, his lack of diversification, which is ironic. But anyway, the fact that he didn't diversify, he didn't do enough to protect himself or his business or his family or whatever the fuck. That's really what it comes down to. What data did you have that the next man didn't have? What data did he have that the next YouTuber who already had made videos on this didn't have or didn't already put out there? Make it make sense.
All these times when things could have been helped out or better. But, let's have a laugh today at DSP because, he had an incident in 2016 and he plays
I mean, no one told you no one, how do I even address that? It's not my fault or anybody else's that you fucking have erectile dysfunction and you couldn't fucking pleasure your fucking young ass girlfriend. That's your fault, to be honest. Or whatever gay porn or whatever the fuck that you were looking at the time, or BBC or whatever you were into at that particular time. Because if Wings is over here getting off on tranny porn, I can only guess what you're doing. But didn't Rich, didn't Rich's dad call him some type of gay monkey or some shit recently? Whatever. The point being is that whatever it is that you're into that you couldn't get it up or couldn't get it off to go ahead and pleasure your fucking panda, that's on you. That's that. You know what I'm saying? If you're broken in that way, shape, or form, that's on you. If you were too drunk that morning or from the night before that you couldn't make shit happen, that's on you. It's funny how someone who was supposedly in the business for what, almost 8, 9 years at that point, didn't understand how his setup worked, where he thought he was safe jacking off in front of a fucking live stream of 100 plus people. But then over 100,000 people by far have been watching that shit or have seen it. Yet again, you didn't have to turn your fucking setup for that shit. All you had to do was turn the laptop on. Your incident is fucking stupid, which makes it fucking hilarious. End of story. You have to live with that. I don't give a fuck if Kat's downstairs crying about that shit. Maybe if she wasn't so big, she could walk her ass upstairs and cry about it. That's not my problem, nor is it my fault. That's not my fault at all. That's nobody's fault. It's yours. You gotta eat that. But I love how he's literally trying to rewrite history and blame everybody else for his fuck-ups. It's fantastic. Holy shit, that top 10... Proper's top 10 worst moments, boy. Maybe... Here, I'm gonna put this out here. I got a lot of love for Prop, obviously. I got a lot of love for him. But goddamn, dude, unless we're gonna have a top 10 honorable mentions and then a top 10 worst moments, maybe, just maybe, we have to move it from top 10 to top 15 or something. Or top 20. And don't be wrong. I am a traditionalist just like a lot of people. I get that. But the way this fuckwad is acting and shit, it's very clear that something needs to change. Now, granted, some years are different than others. It is what it is. But oh man, Proper's job has just gotten a whole lot harder. I gotta tell you, that's just gotten a whole lot more difficult. God bless him, because Jesus Christ, this shit's getting wild. And the thing is, because this right here is an actual bleed off from something else. I mean, see, now that starts to get complicated because it starts to become like a web, if you think about it. Because this right here is really just run off from the Kino Casino shit, right? And then the lack of interviews and why he can't make that happen. Oh man, I need to reach out to Prop and ask him, and just ask him some questions and whatnot, see what he thinks. But yeah, this year's gonna be rough, boy. It's gonna be rough. Fucking A. I mean, he can do it. We all know he can do it, but goddamn, this is just gonna be rough. Big ups to Agent Proper.
WWE champions, right? All right. So, in truth, sorry for me, I'm about to drop a little holiday truth bomb on everyone. All right? Are you ready for this one? If I never existed, if I had never made a YouTube video, if I had never had any prominence on the internet, if I had never bothered turning on a...
Maybe if you never existed, Catherine wouldn't be where she's at. Well, she wouldn't be as big as she is and be dealing with the bullshit she's dealing with. Panda may have actually fucking gotten her... Well, she did get her life together eventually, but she may have gotten her life together and actually gone to college and actually have made something more of herself than what she is now. Your parents wouldn't have been such a fucking... Your parents wouldn't have had all the stress and bullshit on them. So when Melissa's parents eventually fucked up and your parents had to take her in, well, you wouldn't have been their parents. Maybe she would have been in a much more healthy system and whatnot and have to deal with people coming after her to ask about your dumbass. I'd like to think that John and Howard and OJ and Respect the Pack and all them cats, I think they would have done well without you, certainly, especially John. I think John would have... I think the time that John spent with you was a fucking waste. So that would be from what? 2000... You met John middle to late 2005. Yeah, because that was after your 4th place finish at EVO, which is the only reason why you and John even met. Because they found out that you were a Connecticut local and shit like that and whatever. So if you didn't exist, someone else would have taken 4th, and I think John and everybody else would have moved on and shit. Now, this is going to sound really fucked up, but since DSP wants to put the blame on himself anyway for this, I'll run with it. If he's willing to take the heat for it, then I'll give it to him. If you didn't exist, Phil, T would probably still be alive. I mean, and that's according to your own accounts. Because you're the one that's taking the responsibility and saying, hey, if you had just drove in T home or whatever, or hung out with him for whatever time period it was, he might have still been alive. So if you really want to talk about, hey, what would have life been without you? I mean, I think that could go any which way. But if you want to talk about your detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, if you want to talk about YouTube or the internet as a whole, another lolcow would have came in your place. So truth be told, I would have done content either a little sooner than I did or a little later than what I did, and it would have been just for somebody else. It is what it was. I mean, shit, if you want to go with the alternate timeline thing, I might have been a full-time Wings troll, a full-time LTG troll, a full-time fucking... I'm not a full-time anything, really. I'm known for going after you, but I've definitely bitch slapped all of them, or at least most of them for the most part. But anyway, I would have just chosen another person to fucking laugh at. And if I felt invested enough, I'd make content on them. So it doesn't really, like, you don't really affect my life in any which way outside of this shit. I don't live and breathe and think about you and shit. Once I'm done with this mic, once I'm done saying whatever the fuck I'm saying, I move on with my fucking life until I'm ready to come back to you. You're a thing. You're a toy. You're something that I spend my time with when I feel like doing it. I don't make time for you. It's just whenever I feel like doing it. It's like that for most detractors, whether they profit from you or not. You're really not that important or relevant in the grand scheme of things. You're just a thing. You're an object. Just like how you treat people, your detractors treat you, and you hate it. And you think because of that, you think people will never be able to take you seriously. But the problem is, because you treat people like objects and like garbage, and you don't look at people as people, people assume the worst about you. That's the thing that bothers you. And the thing that even pisses you off even more is that you're mad that your detractors don't have that stigma on them. Oh, well, how come these people can treat me like shit, but you don't look at them as the bad people? That's why you were up June's ass, hoping that he would be able to change the narrative with that documentary, which didn't do anything. It made you look worse. Matter of fact, the more that you talked to his ass, the more he saw your ass for what you were. You tainted your own, one of the few opportunities you had, just like with fucking side scrollers. You tainted that. Everything that Craig, quote unquote, exposed about you, for 18 months you sat there and brooded on it. Then when you had your quote unquote face to face with him, you made yourself look worse. You literally championed Craig. You're worried about what Duty and all these other guys were doing, giving him money and giving him praise and all that bullshit. And in actuality, you, yes, you justified everything that Craig did and some. And in truth, you justified the actions of your detractors too. You did that. No one else. You did that. That's amazing when you think about it in hindsight. It's crazy.
Camera pointing at a TV and doing really stupid commentary.
While drunk, while belligerent, while your neighbor was sitting there yelling at you to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
If I had never made tens of thousands of videos, all right, here's the truth. Tons of people never would have been YouTubers. Tons of content never would have been made. People wouldn't have been inspired.
Oh, are you trying to say that, oh, PewDiePie wouldn't exist without you? And in turn, that whole market wouldn't exist? If PewDiePie didn't exist, someone else would have taken his place. It is what it is. He just happened to get there before anybody else. That doesn't change anything. It really doesn't change anything. Still, here's what he's trying to do. He's trying to say that if he didn't exist, literally everything on the internet wouldn't exist either, or it wouldn't exist in the way that it does. Someone is always going to make someone else is going to always make money off someone else's stupidity, or off of their triumph, or off of their shortcomings or their fall, or off of their comeback. That's how the internet works. Actual media, you know what I'm saying, have been doing that for years. Movies, TVs, documentaries, so on and so forth. It only made sense that YouTube would eventually do it too, or the internet at large. You got more true crime podcasts out there or out here in 2024 than you had in 2020. And some people looked at it as the boom in 2020. It was a far smaller market then than it is now. And then it's evolved. I'm going off on a tangent. Hold with me on this. The reason for, if you think about true crime, right, for example, it makes you wonder, or it makes me wonder, are people really trying to go over these stories and trying to drum up interest for the case? Or is it a bunch of people hoping to crack a case and make a bunch of money and write books and fucking have movies made? You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know what some of these people's intentions are. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've listened to a lot of interesting shit. I've listened to a lot of people who hope shit goes in their favor so they can do a lot more interesting shit. It's not great, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. people clearly have a motivation. There you can kind of see the good in it, despite how bad or how bad faith the scenario is. As for DSP, no matter what he does, no matter what he's participated in, it's been in bad faith. He's been a fuck up as a YouTuber. He's been a fuck up as a streamer. He's been a fuck up in the FGC. He's been a fuck up in IRL. How is it that you failed at all of these things with all of the advantages that you had, and yet it's always somebody else's fault? How does that make sense? If you didn't exist, your father and maybe that branch that your father worked at maybe would have lasted a bit longer after your ass got booted. Did you ever think about that? Maybe, just maybe, if you didn't exist, the chick who you were trying to impress to buy that condo, maybe she would have sold it, maybe her and her boyfriend would have sold that to someone else for a more reasonable price. Someone who actually needed that condo. You ever think about that? Maybe, just maybe, if you weren't obsessing about Melissa and whatnot, she wouldn't have developed the addiction that her parents had. Do you ever think about that? Now, I know some of you are thinking, hey, that's harsh. You're putting a lot of responsibility on him, and that's not fair. Look at the responsibility he's putting on us. I'll use myself as an example. Look at the responsibility he's putting on me. Because I sit here and make some fucking dumbass videos, I ain't sat there and ruined his entire life. Make that make sense. So if he could say that shit about me, or anybody else for that matter, why the fuck can't I say that, hey, maybe you're the reason why that your cousin has an addiction? Or maybe you helped it exacerbate it. Maybe you're the reason why your mother's fucking addicted to the fucking home shopping network. Maybe the reason why your father didn't or couldn't go further with his life and do more and have more, as you've argued about before, because of your ass. Did you ever think about that? Did he ever think about that? What's good for the goose is what's good for the gout. So, I mean, if we're going to go ahead and start taking shots, then let's start taking shots. Makes you think.
Fired to do what they did, and the world would be a very different place. Okay? If I never existed, a lot of positive things never would have happened on this planet. Whether directly or indirectly as a result of my actions, my existence has actually prominently impacted the internet.
That can be said for anybody, though. So make that make sense. That could literally be applied to anybody in any community. Not me. but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that could be said for anybody. Fucking hey, you could say that for Tevin. You could say that for Arjun and Theo as it pertains to commentary within the DSP detractor community. Because if you break it down, right? Actually, I got a video coming up on this. I'm gonna start doing topic videos. Yes, topic videos. Like I don't talk enough as it is. If you break down the DSP detractor community, right? You have to think about the commentary aspect of it, right? Then you have the editors. Then you have the clippers. Then you have those who do parodies. Now we've gotten into we got a whole music genre of it. You have people who do illustrations, so on and so forth. There's all these facets, right, within the DSP detractor community. And I don't think, actually I know, DSP didn't inspire that. The community that came up around his dumbass is what inspired that. But even if he wanted to say, oh, well, if it wasn't for that community, none of that would have existed. Well, maybe if you acted like a decent person, maybe all of that creativity would have been used somewhere else. Or ironically enough, maybe in spite of you, it's despite of you that all of this creativity built up. Because there was a lot of people who did shit like this within DSP's own community back in the day, and DSP didn't appreciate it. So now his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics do the same thing and do it far better because they had time on their side, right? They had the benefit of hindsight on their side, that a better product was created, if you want to look at it from that standpoint. Because most of the shit that he's bitching and complaining about, that detractors do or whatnot, he had an audience at one time that used to do that for him too. Just something to think about if you want to think a little bit deeper about this. He's not thinking that because he's stupid. He's only thinking about what's on the surface. Surface level shit. When truth be told, if he didn't have detractors, let's say detracting died out when SOK finally died out. Let's say that. Where do you think DSP would be at right now? Do you think he would have a resurgence? Do you really think people would actually give him a chance now that the scary SOK is now out of the play? Now that Freddy Boy has sunken back into the shadows of the abyss of the internet, do you really think people would have given him a fair shot? Or, realistically, do you think someone else would have just stepped up into their place? Or, even worse for him, he would have just been forgotten. He would have been just some ass clown on the internet going into 2018, let's say, as what he is, an absolute fucking nobody, not worth a goddamn thing. Which one do you think is worse? And which one do you think, being pragmatic, would have really happened? Because this argument happens a lot, which is one of the topics I hope to speak on, is if detractors didn't exist, where would DSP be at? Well, the answer is he'd probably be worse off than what he is. And I can give you some really good examples of that, but I'll go no further than Girl World. If it wasn't for Girl World existing, Frenchie, Yaba, Karina Kaboom, Chicken Pickle, Barbecue Chicken, Garlic Bread, even though I got my gripes with that guy, and I plan to do a video on that, so I'll explain why later on down the line. If it wasn't for some of those people in Girl World, there's a lot of them. There's Milk Tea, there's a bunch of guys. There's a bunch of people over there who actually have an impact. But if those people didn't exist, Foodie Beauty wouldn't exist. She wouldn't be as relevant as she was, especially after Crackhead Olympics. For those of you who know, you know. That's the reality of it. And that right there in itself is a package deal. That's why the farms are important. Because you have the farms who basically regulates and shits on everybody. Maybe not regulates, but they shit on everybody. They're probably more regulators than actually regulating anything. But the point is that you have the farms, you have Reddit, you have all these different components that feed into this shit. If all of those different components stopped, then what do these people really have? However, or whatever the fuck happened over there with the DSP Reddit forum, I couldn't tell you. I've heard a lot of rumors though. I've heard, and supposedly Gay Ops was involved in that, but I'll save that for a later time if it's true anyway. But a lot of nonsense happened with that, but that got knocked off the census. As it pertains to the farms, despite how Josh is or Null is fucking running that shit, if it wasn't for the farms, you know what I'm saying? A lot of that drives what happens on YouTube and what happens in streaming and so on and so forth. Or at least they have their place in this shit. If they stopped, if content creators on YouTube stopped, where would DSP be at? Do you really think he'd be able to turn things around? You think anybody would really believe him or care about him? If you wipe off every piece of detractor content off the internet, or off YouTube, let's say, at the very least, if you knock all of that shit off, nothing changes. It would take him years to get above, up and above everything when it comes to the search engine and as well as the algorithm. Like, it would take him years to just get back into that, even if you wipe all of his ops off the census. Years. And in that time, there's just a market that's going to open up for whoever else who wants it. There is the concept of a power vacuum exists. And if he can't fill it, which he can't, someone else is going to. That's the reality of this whole YouTube thing. There's a market for anything and everything. And it's always waiting to be filled by somebody. End of story. The reality is DSP doesn't appeal to any market. He has nothing. No one gives a fuck about his politics. No one gives a fuck about his podcast / daily therapy session. No one gives a fuck about his gaming. The three things he stands on, or at least he tries to, no one gives a shit about. There are too many people in the marketplace that do it better, more efficiently, and more consistently. You showing up every day means nothing in the grand scheme. If it's not entertaining, if it doesn't have any real value or substance to it, no one cares. And that's just the reality of it. That's life. It's life. So if a bunch of people laughing at you took all of that value away from you, then what was really there in the first place? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
And life, quite frankly. All right? And I'm happy and proud of that fact, that at least my existence on the internet has had a positive impact on so many.
On who? On who? Let's run down some names. Alex Seidella, Vidal, fucking Rob on Wheels, Derek or whatever that pedophile's name is. That dragon that's running around that's supposedly a sex deviant, Anonymous, Straight Cash Homie. Who? Only Iced Coffee? Who else? Who else did you affect in a positive way? I'll wait. Give me something. Point to one person that you've had a positive effect on. What's the name of those brothers who were sending him shit and all that until he sat there and pissed them off and ran them up and out of that bitch? But what about those guys? Were you a positive effect on those cats? I'll wait. Like, you know what I'm saying? Give me somebody. Anybody, if you can. You can't name anybody. There's nobody that you've had a positive influence on, and you know it. Because just because PewDiePie watched your content doesn't mean that he took absolute inspiration from you. He watched a lot of people. If for those of you who know, you know. But PewDiePie started off as a fucking Call of Duty guy, as a lot of those people did back in those days. They almost all, well, not all of them, but a large majority of people who started off in gaming back in those days started off as Call of Duty because it was one of the biggest things on the fucking platform. And it was easy to get attention doing that. And then you can branch out from there, which is something that people back in the day did that you don't see too much of now, is people willing to branch out. So, yet again, you can't even claim that. And if you really want to claim PewDiePie, you're going to stand on business on that N-word shit, on that bridge? You're going to stand on that? You're going to stand on the fucking, what's it called? On that fiber nonsense? You're going to stand on that shit too? If he took influence from you, if you are someone who has really inspired him to do shit, I don't know, man. He's done some questionable shit that labels him as a racist and a bigot and all kinds of other bullshit to this very day. You stand on that? I'm asking. I just want to know. You know what I'm saying? He took shots at black people, you took shots at black people. He took shots at Jews, you took shots at Jews. I mean, you want me to keep going? We can get worse. He was just able to bounce back from it. I mean, he still has to deal with that stigma. People still call him that shit. But he's dealing with it. He's not trying to fight everybody on it. He don't bring it up when he ain't sat there and fucking get ready to crash out and cries about it and shit. He did it and he's living with it. You're not. You're just existing with it. Because you're too scared to face it. Because that's who and what you really are. And you know it. And you're scared that everybody else knows it.
All those people who made negative memes about me for the last decade to get a joke, to get a laugh, literally, if those people never existed, they'd have zero impact on anything.
Well, wait a second. If you exist, and these people exist because of you, and they've been putting your ass through the ringer for 10 plus years, who's to say that they couldn't do that to somebody else? Which goes back to my earlier point. But you're saying that they would have no impact on anybody, they would have no meaning in life. But they all have an impact on your life, though. They have an impact on the people who follow you, which is the reason why people give you money, because they're trying to own the trolls. It's not even about supporting, it really isn't, if you really think about this, it's not even about supporting Phil Burnell anymore. It's about literally trying to stick it to his trolls. And it's been like that, truth be told, since probably like 2017. At least late 2017, getting into 2018. But I would definitely say after the machinima shit. No, because he was still accepting troll donations and shit. He was still entertaining it. So yeah, I guess late 2017 would probably be fair. Let me think on that. But yeah, how are you going to say these people would have no impact on anything when they clearly have an impact on you? You don't move the way you want to move on the internet because you can't. And even more relevant, you can't even move the way you want to move in real life. In IRL, when you separate from the fucking internet, you can't move the way you want to move for a couple of reasons. One, you never detach yourself from the internet. You can't put your phone down and actually spend time with your wife or your fucking cat or fucking play a board game, play a card game, watch a movie. You know what I'm saying? Turn some music on and dance with her or whatever, even though she could really use the help burning the calories. Truth be told, she probably is just not in enough physical. She's probably not physically well enough to do that. But anyway, semantics. You never tune yourself out for the internet. On top of that, you've made your life about getting back at the people who you feel that have wronged you. When in actuality, I should say, you've wronged yourself in the worst possible way. You opened up the floodgates for other people to not only laugh at your expense, but to profit from it. And for other people to be okay to do it. If it wasn't for SOK, and whatnot. I mean, well, how do I word this? SOK basically tried to corner the market on who can monetize you. When they fell, I would still say, even though they were off the board in some way, shape, or form, I would say their methods were still in play. But eventually that faded out because there was no point in standing on that. There really wasn't. It seems stupid to try to police something like that. You know what I mean? Because if you're going to sit there and hold the gun to any detractor's head and say you can't make money off this, then go over there to Medicare and put the gun to his head and do the same thing, but you can't. So you can't do that. Because the reason why Freddie was sitting there holding on to that narrative in the first place was because of Medicare. And was because of the initial thoughts that people had of not being able to monetize fucking content, or at least troll content, if you will, on the internet. That goes back to the Gamergate situation. Years later, though, Medicare ended up basically coming around because he had no choice. I understand what he was saying at that particular time, but truth be told, times change. And as times change, the way you think has to change. The irony of that is DSP never changed, though. He's still the same sniveling little piece of shit that he was in 2008. And he's never going to change. And that's the reason why he fails at everything. It's the reason why he's bad at everything. It's the reason why people can treat him the way they treat him and they can be praised for it. And he has no way of stopping it. Because when he was in, quote unquote, a position to do something, he couldn't do anything. He tried, but he didn't really succeed. He just made things worse. You don't believe me? Ask Wings. If you don't believe me, ask Rich. Rich knows what it's like to try to go after people, and then years later, that shit coming back to haunt him. Where's his million sub channel at? Ask Rich about that. That's how that's going.
0. The whole mentality of this groupthink nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. Oh, jokes on for joke's sake, and it's all just jokes. Yeah, but at what expense? What did you do? You fucked with the fabric of how things worked because you wanted to have a memeable existence for 10 fucking years. You know? You guys you're out of your minds. But again, it's you look in the mirror and you don't want to acknowledge that. You sat on the internet for 10 years turning DSP into a joke, but what have you done with yourself? Right? These people who are
I mean, are these people begging for fucking chump change on the internet? Like, are these people like unemployed and shit? Are these people on welfare? Like what does he know that the rest of us don't? Because the way he makes it sound like all these people are fucking in their fucking mom's basements and shit, doing content, fucking stalking him in every move that he makes. I'm sure there are some people who do that, but I would say the majority isn't like that. And though there is some interesting things that float around detractor Twitter, I would still say that that's still not the case. So where is he pulling this from? Name one detractor in recent... Oh, I can't even do that. I can't actually do that now that I think about it. I'm going to have to hold... Oh, man, I can't. I'm going to have to actually hold that L. Because no one really... Because we don't know what the situation is with that super crazy shit yet, actually. I might have to hold that. Oh, I might have to hold that. But then again, that's one person, though. One person doesn't affect an entire community, though. If you really think about it. So, okay, my point still stands. So, give me some names. Give me some names on who's running around here begging for money, who's out here saying that, hey, I have no job, I have no prospects, and all I have is shitting on DSP. Give me something. Give me somebody who fits all those criteria. Whoa, wait. At least one of those criteria, because Phil would just say, I'm pushing the goalpost back. Like, pick somebody. Pick somebody. And even then, that doesn't speak for the majority. Which is what he wants. If you go ahead and hit somebody, like let's say Super Crazy, for example, that doesn't speak for the majority. He don't speak for me, and I don't speak for him. I don't know what his situation is. I've heard a lot of people speculate on it, but none of us really know. His silence doesn't really help him, though. But none of us really know. So my point still stands. And even then, that situation is kind of weird either which way. Because the dude has a monetized channel and everything, and I don't know. Maybe I should look into that, because I am curious about that. At least now I am, anyway. I'll see what's what.
Full-time DSP detractors, who would they be without me?
Who are the full-time DSP detractors? You mean Duty? I don't know anybody else who detracts full-time like that, to be honest. And when you say full-time detractor, you got to think about someone who literally spends his time in, well, allegedly, spends his time in Discords, on Twitter, and then doing videos and shit, who essentially has turned this into a job. But isn't Duty supposedly or allegedly, like, retired and shit? Isn't he like some, like, he's like 40 plus years old, he has a wife and 2 kids and shit? This is all just like a side hustle? Allegedly? So would you even equate that as full-time? I don't know. I don't have no reason to defend that guy, so it is what it is.
In a day when I decide not to turn on my camera or not to broadcast, they have nothing to do in life. They actually depend on me for them to have some kind of a meaningful existence. Out to be for 10 years. But you want to think about what might have happened in the last 10 years if I was actually able to add to interesting topics, actually be respected for my opinions. Gamergate, all these
Gamergate? What the fuck did you have to say about Gamergate? Why? So you can dunk on fucking game journalists that you don't like? Which some of the game journalists that he would try to dunk on, by the way, weren't even involved in the actual bullshit itself. So what? You were going to go ahead and give a quote-unquote hot take that was probably given 100 times before you? Like, Gamergate was like a 24-hour fucking scenario that DSP in his best day couldn't keep up with. You don't believe me? Ask Rich. He didn't keep up with it very well. Monday Matt was in the middle of that shit, and he couldn't even keep up with it. And he was literally in the middle of it. I mean, Jesus Christ. For those of you who know, which most people probably don't, and I don't blame you, Monday Matt got his relevancy because of the Zoe Quinn document. What was that called? The Zoe post, which was written by Zoe Quinn's ex-boyfriend at that time. Monday Matt did a video basically reacting to it, reading it out, and that's what he got hit for. He got a false DMCA strike on him and shit, and that's what led into the clusterfuck that turned into that. That led into the Internet Aristocrat or Medicare or Jim doing Five Guys Burgers and Fries, and then it just kind of cascaded from there. And one of the Baldwins was the actual person who coined the term Gamergate, by the way. But even more importantly than that, let's toggle back a minute. What most people don't know is Monday Matt was not actually going after Zoe Quinn, or that wasn't initially who he wanted. He wanted Anita Scarhesian, I think. That's who he wanted. And he was trying to provoke her, and it didn't happen. Zoe Quinn was just a happy accident. For those of you who know. That's fucking crazy. I always thought that was funny. I always thought that was amusing. That was hilarious that happened to that guy. Free speech activist, right? An advocate, turns out to be one of the biggest fucking false flaggers on the internet. Amazing. Just amazing. I can see why him and Rich get along so well. Birds of a feather.
Journalistic controversies that have happened that I've been very vocal about. I don't like how journalism has handled gaming in the last 10 years, but no one listens to me, right? All these things that have come to fruition that I predicted would happen, and they have. Gaming now is all so fucking milquetoast and done just for the money because people just take bags and run and get paid sponsorships and shit like that. How the biggest YouTuber is Mr. Beast, the fakest motherfucker on the planet who just exploits children left.
I mean, just like you exploit children too. But what are we going to ignore that whole GDC situation with fucking God of War? That was your playthrough and whatnot. And look at the effect that that's had. And who knows how many other examples that you've been used as it pertains to games. Not only coming out back then, but even moving forward. Because when he was used as the example at GDC, trust and believe that wasn't the first time. That may have been the first time that he was publicly displayed. But that wasn't the first time he was used as a template. Trust and believe. And that's why he won't engage with that particular subject. Have his ass react to that shit. The next time one of you cucks want him to do something on DSP React, Send him that GDC fucking shit and have him react to that and see what he's got to say. See what comes out of that. And make sure he watches it in its entirety. Or at least that clip, I should say. Which is like 3 minutes. It might be 5 minutes, actually. And see what he thinks about that. If he wants to talk about his impact on gaming.
Right? These are things I called out a decade ago. Get it? I did. I predicted all this would fucking happen.
You predicted. What are you, Gouty Nostradamus now and shit? Snorty Nostradamus? Like, what the fuck is that? You didn't predict anything that no one else didn't speculate on. He predicted this. All right, bet.
But everyone just wanted to laugh at DSP for a decade. Good for you. I hope you like the present. I hope you're enjoying the existence of, you know, how everything went in culture, on the internet, all this shit. I hope you like where you are right now. And all of you who are so dependent on me to get any kind of attention for yourself, I hope you like the fact that you have to be a DSP parasite for the rest of your fucking existence, because you have no actual value on this planet outside of sucking blood from me. You're nothing.
But wait a second. If they're all filling a niche or a demand in the market, what's that say about you? Like, let's put this into perspective for a minute. There's a market for shitting on, dissecting, laughing at Darkseid in any way you see fit, whatever your particular median is to do so. If there wasn't any demand, there wouldn't be a market. Right? So if there's demand, if there's a market, and there's people willing to engage with that market financially, what the fuck does that say about you? How hated must you be that people will pay good money to watch other people fucking make fun of you, or to tear you down, or to fucking cut up your lies and all your other bullshit? Even when you're telling the truth, you're lying. What does that say about you? That doesn't make anybody look bad saying you're a DSP parasite and this, that, and the third. You mean how you were fucking trying to get off on Jim? Remember how you were trying to milk that dead man for whatever, or dying man, I should say. He's not dead yet, but that dying man for whatever you could get out of him? I never did that to anybody. I didn't fucking milk my alleged best friend and rival T. I didn't try to milk his death. I didn't do that. I never did that to any of my peoples. They don't fly where I'm from. I don't know how it is over there in Bridgeport, Connecticut, but where I'm from, we don't do that. People come up missing for shit like that. That's just disrespectful. I don't know anything about that. Same thing with Scott. I've never made a video on another friend of mine who died and milked that shit. I didn't do that. Nah, I never did that shit. I never made a video on my friend who was getting more credit than I was, and I was jealous about it, and I had to completely and utterly devalue them to raise myself up. I never did that. It's not something that's in my DNA. I don't know nothing about that. Should I keep going? I'm not the one who pulled some chick. I'm not the one who stole another man's horse, brought them halfway across country, and then fattened her up, and is basically purposely getting her sick, and she might die on you if she don't fix her shit in a few years. I never did that to anybody. Especially not to a woman that I allegedly care about and who's my soulmate. Speaking of soulmates, I've never called another man I've never called another man my gaming soulmate. I've never done that. I don't know nothing about that life. And like I said, if you're gay, cool. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. That don't change anything. It's something else to laugh at you about, but that doesn't mean anything to me in the grand scheme of things. I've never called another man that. That's not something I've done. I don't know anybody else who's done that either. That sounds like some weirdo shit to me. I don't know. But you want to talk about what everybody else is doing, everybody else is leeching off of. Makes you think. How is it that you turn down $50,000 and maybe ownership in something to go over there with Kino Casino, made probably less than half of that, only to be fucking dismissed later on? And now you're literally clinging on to them as best you can, so they don't completely and utterly abandon you. How's that feel? Tell me what that's like, because I don't know. I've never been put in that position. I've never put myself in such a position. I'll wait.
But a mosquito, and one day you're gonna get swatted.
Wait, what? Did you just threaten me? What do you mean I'm gonna get swatted? What the fuck? What? Hold on a second.
Have no actual value on this planet outside of sucking blood from me. You're nothing but a mosquito, and one day you're going to get swatted.
He threatened me. Y'all heard it. He threatened me. He threatened all of us, but he threatened me. You saw that, right? He threatened me. Is this like the Be Awesome One situation? He's got my name, he's got my IP, and he's got my address? Is that what this is? Why is he always threatening people? I don't get it. You heard it, though. He said I'm going to get swatted. I didn't take that out of context. You heard it. He said I'm going to get swatted. I don't like that shit. I don't like I don't like that shit. Oh, man, I should throw the meme in there from Belly. I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit.
Okay. I got a couple shout outs to do, and then we're going to end the show. We don't have.
Yeah, that certainly didn't hit the way you thought it would. Well, anyway, that was amusing. A little longer than I thought I was going to be on that shit, but like any dog, I had to go, you know what I'm saying? Got to go out that bone. Anywho, let's get it now. Let's go ahead and go back. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do some history for a minute. So I'm going to take you guys to pre-stream from July 22nd of 2020. Title is I'm back, and hopefully no more drama today. This is what we're gonna attack first. Here we go.
The same guy's in charge, right? This is like saying, so you knew there was something wrong with your company for years and years and years. You brushed it under the rug. The same guy's in charge. This reminds me of the Evo situation. Mr. Wizard, accused and apparently publicly admitting of having all kinds of pedophiliac actions many years ago. But his buddies, the Cannons, who own Evo, knew about this and put him in charge. They didn't care. They brushed it under the rug for years and years and years. In fact, it was kind of a running joke in the Street Fighter community that we knew that Mr. Wizard used to do this shit, but no one really talked about it because no one had any evidence of anything. It finally comes out, let's throw Mr. Wizard out of Evo. Okay, that's great, but I don't care because the same people still own it.
Now, I want you to take that in. Cannon Brothers are still in charge, or it doesn't matter that Mr. Wiz was a pedophile, and it doesn't matter that he was ousted. I don't even care about any of that. The Cannons are still in charge. Why? So they're still the problem. This is what he's saying. He doesn't really give a shit about what Mr. Wiz did or didn't do. If he really believed in this, which clearly he did, why didn't he make a video on it? Why didn't he make a post about it? There's nothing out there that at least I've found. You can ask Alt and see what he's seen, if he's found anything, or anybody else for that matter. But I haven't seen anything where DSP even half-heartedly even points out that, hey, you know Mr. Wiz does this pedo shit, right? No one is really speaking up on anything. What's the issue with that? But there are fucking hundreds of posts on DSP crying and complaining about how the people at Evo fucked him over and rigged brackets and screwed him over. So tell me something. With all the young kids that were running around in the FGC, not just then, but now, your priority was you not being treated fairly at an Evo or at any of those tournaments, Evo adjacent tournaments, not the kids that allegedly were getting the Billy Kincaid treatment by Mr. Wiz. If you guys know who Billy Kincaid is, you're a real one. Who's all these kids that are getting this Billy Kincaid treatment, but that's not important to you. It's the fact that you're not placing as well as you think you should be placing at Evo because they rigged the brackets. Make that make sense. So just like how the Cannon Brothers are sweeping this pedophile shit under the rug to keep the business going, you basically swept for his ass too, and so decided to focus all your blame on you not being respected as a player on the Evo circuit. So which one is worse? Here, I'll bring that back.
In the Street Fighter community that we knew that Mr. Wizard used to do this shit, but no one really talked about it because no one had any evidence of anything. It finally comes out, let's throw Mr. Wizard out of Evo. Okay, that's great, but I don't care because the same people still own it. The same people who were in charge and knew about this activity for 20 years still run the event, so why the fuck do I care if you threw the guy out? I don't want anything to do with the event, right? And it's kind of the same thing here.
But it's not that he doesn't want anything to do with the event because Mr. Wiz is a pedophile or alleged. It's because the Cannon Brothers, they fucked me over, and I'm going to use these pedophile accusations against them to smear their name, which is actually defamation. But semantics.
So I knew that I had these really bad people in my company, but I just allowed the behavior to happen.
Well, you did too, because why didn't you speak up on it? Don't sit there and hide behind, oh, everybody knew what would happen, but no one had any proof or anything to say that. Either you knew what was going on or you didn't. And DSP's talking like that shit was straight fact. It was an absolute 100% fact that Mr. Wiz was doing pedophile shit to young kids over there at, was that Sunnydale, that Sunnydale Golf Park or whatever it was? Well, Sunnydale Arcade, whatever it's called. It's like a golf park / arcade. If he allegedly knew about all that bullshit that was going on, why did he never speak on that at all? He says he knew it as a fact. He said on a couple different occasions that he knew people who told him that it was true. He said here that it was an ongoing rumor. Everybody knew about it. So why didn't he speak up on it then? He doesn't mind speaking on the alleged corruption in the fighting game community, but he don't want to speak on a bunch of kids being violated? Okay.
I'm supposed to believe that the guy in charge of the company didn't fucking know all these years. Yeah, right. So either you're completely inept at what you do, right? Either you're completely 100% inept at your job and you should step down, or you knew what was happening and you should step down. So there's no situation where this guy should remain in charge anyway, in my opinion.
Now keep in mind, this is the same guy. This is this idiot right here. This is the same guy who thought the Cannon brothers started Evo. They started SRK. He feels that they shouldn't be able to run it and they shouldn't be able to have any say-so in it. Other people should have a say-so in their company and how it should be run. I want you to think about that. So he says that the Cannon brothers shouldn't have any type of influence on their forum, srk.com, and they shouldn't have had any input or any control of Evo, the event that they started, that they founded and they funded. That's what this idiot was thinking. He still thinks that way, honestly. Make that make sense.
Opinion. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but the whole thing's just reeks.
And he doesn't even care about the Mr. Wizard thing. He only cares that he can use that against them. Here's the irony of it all. Supposedly, one of the victims is someone DSP's friends with. Allegedly. DSP is friends with this kid who was allegedly violated by Mr. Wiz on more than one occasion. Phil, if that was really Phil's friend, why weren't you standing up for him? You said he was your friend. So why didn't you speak out on it? Oh no, I had to wait till everybody else was talking about it, and then I wanted to put my voice to it. But he was your friend, just like Scott was, just like T was, just like John and Howard were, just like OJ was. See the pattern of how Phil treats his friends? So you're telling me that, oh, well, because there's still people who believe this, oh, Phil didn't really fuck over John and Howard. They were all pieces of shit, this, that, and the third. But Phil ain't sat there and let one of his friends be fucking molested by this dude. And he knew about it for years. Are you telling me he wouldn't fuck his friends out of money? I'll wait.
It just reeks. I Heart Darts, yeah, everyone back in the day knew that Mr. Wizard did that shit. It's true. There was always rumors about it. There was always rumors.
Everybody knew it was true.
From people who knew the rumored stories from Sunnyvale Golfland. And they
Sunnyvale Golfland. I'm not going to thank him for that, but there we go.
always circulated around the community, but no one had any proof of anything. That was the thing. You always hear these things like, well, it's all hearsay. Maybe it's just gossip or whatever.
Wait a second. You just said just a minute ago was the truth. Let me bring that back. All right, you know me. I went back a little further than usual, but you'll get it.
It just reeks. I Heart Darts, yeah, everyone back in the day knew that Mr. Wizard did that shit. It's true. There was always rumors about it. There was always rumors from people who knew the rumored stories from Sunnyvale Golfland. And they always circulated around the community, but no one had any proof of anything. That was the thing. You always hear these things like, well, it's all hearsay. Maybe it's just gossip or whatever. But, no one ever stepped forward with concrete proof or stating their story. So because of that, nothing ever got done until, what, last month? Right? Okay. So anyway, it is what it is. We'll see if there's any active change at Ubisoft going forward.
Now, see, that's weird, though, ladies and gentlemen, because he said he wanted to help people. He said he wanted to help people. So why didn't he help during this Mr. Wiz situation? Why did it take till 2020 for other people to come out and say something, for him to say something, if he's known about that shit for years? going back to 2005, even before that. What made him sit on his ass for 15 plus years, actually longer than that, but 15 plus years and stay mute? Because if you're not talking, then you're sweeping. That's kind of mutually exclusive. If you know that something is happening that's illegal and you're not saying anything, you could be considered complacent. You could be considered complacent. So, you know, or you knew for a fact, because he said it was true, he knows everybody knew it was true, that there were kids being molested, and you didn't stand on nothing. You had a platform. You were quote unquote big back in that day. You were relevant. You could cry about Sopa and Pippa, but you couldn't cry about these kids that were getting violated, being taken advantage of. I'm just saying. I'm going off his words. I didn't put that in his snout. That's what he said. Let's keep going. I'm not done yet. We just get started. All first verse. All first verse. All right, let's go with our third video. Next video is going to be pre-stream from August 2nd of 2020. This title don't mean anything, but I'll throw it out there anyway. Destroy All Humans returns and new emotes and fun. Yeah, because sweeping up for pedophiles are fun, right, Phil? But then again, now that I think about it, Phil has a habit of sweeping up for pedophiles, don't we? Right, Derek? Right, Derek? Right. Here we go.
Which is funny, because it's like, all these things that used to be common knowledge were all accepted, now they're exposed. So everyone kind of knew that Mr. Wizard had a really spotty past of doing things like paying underage boys to jump in pools in their underwear at Sunnyvale Golfland arcade back in the 90s. Everyone knew this. It was common knowledge, and
everybody knew this. This was common knowledge. Then DSP in the last video said, oh, everybody knew it. It was true. But it was all rumors, though, and, you know, we really couldn't be sure or whatever. Sounds like what a coward would say, honestly. But whatever. Here, let me bring that back to the beginning.
Which is funny, because it's like, all these things that used to be common knowledge were all accepted, now they're exposed. So everyone kind of knew that Mr.
I mean, he was part of the reason why it was accepted. Keep that in mind.
Wizard had a really spotty past of doing things like paying underage boys to jump in pools in their underwear at Sunnyvale Golfland arcade back in the 90s. Everyone knew this. It was common knowledge, and everyone just said, oh, well, it's kind of accepted because it's in the past. This year, somehow it becomes public knowledge, and now Mr. Wizard's canceled, Evo's canceled, right?
Wait a second. I'm gonna kind of dig back my lore here a bit. Didn't DSP tell a story multiple times about when he was just a kid? When he was just a kid and he would be at his local arcade and a grown-ass man that he allegedly beat every single time would pick him up, throw his face in his crotch, and pretend like he was going to tombstone pile drive him, and everybody laughed about it? Isn't that what Phil told us? That a grown-ass man would pick him up and have his fucking crotch in Phil's face and pretend like he was going to tombstone pile drive him, and everybody around him thought that shit was funny. Huh. Imagine that. I might have made that up though. Or I might have misremembered. I'm good for the second one. Not so much the first one, but I'm good for the second one. Maybe.
It's like, but we already kind of knew that. You know, we have evidence of it? No, we were actually, you know, it would have been nice if a lot earlier people had come up and stepped up and said, yes, we witnessed it happening. It's really fucked up, and Mr. Wizard should have nothing to do with Evo.
And shouldn't you have came out and at least questioned it? Like, hey, these rumors about this guy is floating around. Has anybody else heard about it? Why weren't you even brave enough to do that? No. Let someone else get their hands dirty, right? Let someone else get the blood and dirt on their hands and then capitalize off that. Okay. If that's how we're gonna play it, let's be honest about it. Let's keep everything on the up and up. Let's keep that same type of energy all the way around if that's the case.
But it's never happened. I had to put up with Mr. Wizard and the Cannons being in charge of Evo ever since the inception of the event. And after a while, it's kind of why I stopped attending, because I had enough of the BS. You know, in 2007, when I go there and the brackets are purposely rigged, I've had enough. You know, like, that's enough is enough of being screwed over by these fucking guys. I just don't care anymore. I'm not going to go to their events. Okay? But that's what I mean. Like, it seems to me like this is the year where things that were behind the scenes common knowledge Now finally people are speaking up and things are happening, right? So here's the show. Everyone always agreed that this show was not what it seemed. Celebrities had gone on the show, had a terrible experience, that they would never go back. Now all of a sudden in 2020, now we're going to do something about it and cancel it. It's like, huh? Well, you certainly took your time, but okay, I guess. After, you know, the show running for 17 years, now I guess it's the time to say something about it. Right?
I think he's talking about the Ellen DeGeneres show. I'm pretty sure that's what he means in context.
Anyway, Dolboth cheered and says, I understand the importance of monetizing content. It seems like one of the trolls' biggest reasons to dislike you is that they feel you e-bag. Well, I don't agree. Do you think not mentioning the vest streak and money during the stream or talking about personal finances would help? No, it wouldn't matter at all. The e-bag thing is a scapegoat.
Here's the bonus for you. I found this by accident, but I'm glad I did.
Every single fucking content creator on planet Earth advertises. Every content creator will say, oh, buy my shirt. Oh, please consider cheering, subbing, tipping. Please subscribe to the smash that sub button. How many people say smash that sub button? Please like my video. That's all advertisement. And every single person could, oh, that's e-bagging. You know? But I guess in real life, outside of the internet, if you advertise it's not begging, it's not. Why not? I don't understand. There's a difference between asking for support.
Oh, he's a sick little monkey. Keep in mind, this is 2020 Dark Side Phil, right? 2020. Keep that in mind.
Hey, if you like my content, please by all means support me. It's not mandatory or required to support me, but if you do like the content and you want to see it continue, please support me. That's not begging. That's advertisement, okay? Versus, hey man, I'm starving and I need a ham sandwich. Please give me a ham sandwich.
Remember that whole thing about, you know, forced to eat cold cut sandwiches and whatnot on his day off with his wife after a hard week of work? I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there.
That's begging. There's a little difference there. But the reason that it's categorized as e-begging is because it's the toxic nature of idiots on the internet who want to spin anything into a negative way for their own purposes. If you want to sit here and you want to pretend like you're holier than thou, I'm better than those content creators, man, because I have a job where I work 9 to 5, and
I mean, it's not just that. It's just I wouldn't even say it's even that at that particular juncture. I think it really just comes. Well, not I think I know. I've never heard another streamer demand, not even ask for money, but demand for money the way that he does. It is absolute begging and manipulation and blatant lying and everything else that entails. It's begging for all intents and purposes. You can't deny that. He can call it advertising all he wants, but how would he even know when, especially around this time, he said he didn't even watch other content creators. So how would he know? That's funny because when Joe was asking for subs, Angry Joe was asking for subs back in the day, what's that, 2014? DSP called it e-begging, turned around and did the exact same shit, but flipped it and said it was advertising. So when Joe did it, when Angry Joe did it, and DSP didn't like him, probably still don't, it was e-begging. When he does it, it's advertising. Gotcha. That makes a whole lot of fucking sense.
I bust my ass at my job and I earn a paycheck, man. And then I come home, see? I'm not on the internet begging for money all day, man.
And listen to how spiteful he is about people who work a 9 to 5. That's so wild. When he himself is dependent on people either having 9 to 5s or disability checks and everything else that's entailed with, so he can live. That's what makes it e-begging. You don't produce anything. You beg for income so you can continue to do what you're doing. You don't produce anything of value. You make little to no money on what you're doing. If it wasn't for the e-begging, you wouldn't exist.
See, I'm better than them, man. No, you're not any better. Everyone's the same. No one's better than anybody else. Hate to break it to you.
Really? Too bad it wasn't the same with you and Angry Joe back in the day, but semantics.
On this planet, not one single human is more or less important than the other humans. Okay? I don't care how rich you are, how prominent you are, how famous or not famous you are. Everyone's the same.
Well, wait a second. I thought people like myself that were parasites and shit, right? Now, keep in mind, I don't know any detractor that begs, but I thought we were all parasites and all that bullshit. But right here, he's saying that we were all the same. I mean, he can't say, oh, he's talking about his peers. What peers? DSP is, in the worst possible way, is unique in that no one functions or thinks like Dark Side Phil, even amongst locals, to be honest with you. Now, there are people who share similar aspects or similar traits, but none of them think exactly like DSP does.
Everyone has a right to success, and everyone has a right to do what they want to do. All right? If someone puts out a product that people find entertaining and they willingly want to contribute to said product, that's not begging. That's business. If you don't understand business, you're in the wrong place. I'm just saying. You know, if you've got an issue with that, you're in the wrong place. Every time someone says to me e-begging, you know what that says to me? Salt.
Sounds like cope if you ask me, but whatever.
Morton's. You're so goddamn salty about someone who works hard and puts out content and earns a living doing it that you have to categorize it in a negative way to make yourself feel better about yourself. Listen, I've worked the 9-to-5 jobs. In fact, I did it my entire life from the 1990s.
And got fired from almost all of them.
Before I was even legally old enough to work, I was working. I was getting paid under the table. I had a job. And I held the job down all the way.
Does anybody actually remember the full story on that? This supposed breaking, this supposed child labor law violations that he was part of? He was working under the table, not being documented. What? When your fucking dad asked you to mow the lawn or some shit? Was that child labor law violations there? What the fuck are you talking about? I've actually tried to go back and try to find that. And I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean anything. It just means that I haven't come across it yet. But if anybody for sure remembers that, let me know. I appreciate it.
Through 2010 when I was laid off. So you're talking, about 15 straight plus years of my life where I had that kind of 9-to-5 job mentality. And I worked my ass off, and I was underappreciated, mistreated, and it sucks. It's a grind, isn't it? It's a really shitty grind.
Yeah, but not everybody who works a 9-to-5 or works a career is mistreated, though. And how are you mistreated? Because you thought you were more special than you really were? Because you were mad that there were supposedly these chicks that were sleeping their way to the top, and they weren't interested in you? Tell me how you were mistreated.
Having to work that kind of job where you don't feel like you're appreciated and you bust your ass and you're not really getting your due. I've been there. I've done that. I hear you. I completely empathize with those in that situation because I've been in it. And yes, admittedly, when you hear there's someone on the internet who gets to play video games all day long and make a living doing it, man, that sucks. I want to do that. Why the fuck can't I do that? That's bullshit. Listen,
That's not bullshit. Because first off and foremost, I don't know, nor can I appreciate the work that went in for them to be able to achieve that, to get to that point. No one just turned on Elgato in their camera, or maybe didn't turn on their camera and just started putting play footage out there and just started to hit. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. He tries to make it seem that way to make people seem petty for being mad at him because he makes a living online doing that shit, but he doesn't really make a living online doing that shit. And the work that was put into it, there are people who put real time and effort into their whatever it is that they're doing before they put it out there. He don't. He's made a living doing it, and he was very fortunate to do so until he couldn't. Excuse me. Until he literally talked himself out of every opportunity that he either had or could have had. No one should be jealous of someone making a living or whatever, playing video games or doing anything internet based, especially if you have an appreciation for the time and effort that it took. Well, what I'm saying is DSP didn't exhibit any of that time or effort. He just showed up. He treated it like a 9-to-5, so he got out of it what a 9-to-5 gave him, except he doesn't have the stability. When everything's good, he couldn't save. When everything was bad, he begged. But the reality was he begged the entire time. He was begging for subs. He was begging for likes. He was begging for people to share his shit. Name another detractor who's done any of that. Let alone begging people to donate money to his PayPal. Keep that in mind.
said a million times. A million times. I was in the right place at the right time. That's why I'm successful. It's not because what I do is groundbreaking or revolutionary. Maybe at the time that I started it was. But I was in the right place.
But it wasn't. There are people that did it before you. you were probably one of the loudmouths that people got attention, that people gave their attention to because you're a fucking loudmouth. I do think he may have been like a pioneer in there, but but you can't say that, you know, he was the first person to do it. He didn't revolutionize anything. It was something that was already established. He was just a belligerent idiot that people could laugh at. And if anything, he convinced people that he was cool, which is might have been one of the greatest fucking tricks that the devil ever pulled.
The right time to build up a following and to have people who like me now for my personality for a very long time. They feel like they know me.
But they don't know you. You said they don't know you, and you said that they're not your friends. So what kind of connection are you saying that you established when you yourself have said there is no connection? You put out the content, they watch it. If they like it, they support it. This is his words, not mine.
Because I've been around for 12 years, and they want to see me continue to do what I love and continue to be successful. There's people who trust my opinions on games. There's people who enjoy having fun interactions with me every day.
But wait, I thought you were considered a... Wait. But in our current timeline, 2024, he's a meme, or people treat him like a meme, and that's why no one listens to him. That's why no one values him, or no one takes any consideration of what he says. But he's saying right here in 2020 that people do. I'm so confused.
And, you know, that's just a fact based on luck and hard work. It was 50% luck, right place, right time, and 50% me busting my ass over the years.
So you're admitting that because of luck, you're successful? That's what he said, not me. He's the one who said because he was at the right place at the right time, that's why he's successful. Now he's saying it's 50% luck, it's 50% hard work. The luck part was the fact that he was in the right place at the right time. So he's literally saying that it was a fluke and he was literally just dumb luck that he's at where he's at. There was no hard work. You sitting there pumping out 50 videos a fucking day. It's not hard work. That's spam. Nothing more, nothing less. Let alone me getting into him lying on the fucking on the tags and shit and manipulating the fucking metrics and shit to make it seem like he was a guru in comedy when he wasn't, on top of all the other bullshit misleading tags that he was using back in those days.
Putting out more content than anyone else on the internet. So many people say, why was Phil successful when his content didn't have any production value, you know, no editing, he didn't have a team of people in a studio filming his quality.
But he wasn't successful when you really go back and look at it. If it wasn't for the fact, like Tevin likes to say, big up Tevin, the whole gravy train situation where it was all ad and click based or whatever. If it wasn't for that, he wouldn't have nearly what he has, and he wouldn't have blown nearly as much as he's blown. Because when it was click-based ads, it was the gravy train basically on that bullshit. When it turned into, or when it was click-based, I should say. When it started to become ad-based is when he fucking really started to falter. He really, really started to falter. This is the same idiot who he said that if you were using ad block back in the day, you were stealing from him. The fuck?
Of his videos was crap because I worked my ass off. That's why. I was putting out more content than everyone else.
That's not you working your ass off. That's you being a scumbag.
That's why I was successful. While everyone else was busy finding out a way to use these shenanigans to get popular on YouTube, I was just busting my ass, man.
So the people who actually wanted to take pride in what they do and actually like went the extra step and was raising the bar as it pertains to quality, they were all scumbags and useless pieces of shit. While this idiot who spammed the system, who abused the fact that YouTube had no real limitations from how much you could upload, what he did was hard work, where other people put the time and the effort to put out a quality product. Make that make sense?
Man. Work. Why do you think? I've told you guys, sadly, a lot of friendships fell apart and a lot of things just kind of went by the wayside because I was busy busting my ass putting out content for you.
No, you sat there and you leveraged the goodwill of the people around you for the almighty dollar, and they got tired of being taken advantage of. That's what happened. You're a greedy piece of shit that doesn't value anything but the hole that's in your fucking pockets. Quite literally. And it took them a long time to figure that out, but once they did, they bounced. And even then, you blame them for not articulating that to you when you couldn't read a room. So it's not your ignorance that caused those friendships to break up, according to his narrative. It's their laziness for not telling him that he was doing something wrong. Yikes.
That's why. And it's, again, then some people will make fun of that too. Oh, see, Phil doesn't have any real life friends or anything else. When do I have time? I work my ass off, man. That's life, and that's a career, and that's working your ass off for a business and being self-employed.
That's none of those things. There are plenty of people out here who fucking have careers, who have their own business and all that, and have friends. They didn't have to leverage or abuse or take advantage of their friends to do that. This shows you what kind of sick little monkey he is. Keep that in mind.
That's just part of the deal. I signed up for that deal when I started doing YouTube full time, man. It changed everything for me. Okay, I tried to maintain friendships by having someone like John Rambo involved in my content because I knew I was so busy with my content. Let's make my friends part of the content. So
that's fucked up. I forgot he even said that. Oh wow! I try to slave my friends out into my content so I can spend more time with them. That's sick.
Hi, man. It changed everything for me. Okay, I tried to maintain friendships by having someone like John Rambo involved in my content because I knew I was so busy with my content. Let's make my friends part of the content so at least I get to spend time with my friends, right? And even that blew up in my face over the years. So you got to understand.
That's nasty. Oh, that is fucking nasty. Oh, that is sick. I'm sure past GTG called that out, but goddamn, hearing that now. Oh, that's nasty. That's really fucking nasty. Jesus Christ. Yeah, let me bring that back one more time just because for shits and giggles.
My content, let's make my friends.
Back a little further.
That's a career, and that's working your ass off for a business and being self-employed. That's just part of the deal. I signed up for that deal when I started doing YouTube full time, man. It changed everything for me. Okay, I tried to maintain friendships by having someone like John Rambo involved in my content because I knew I was so busy with my content. Let's make my friends part of the content so at least I get to spend time with my friends, right? And even that blew up in my face over the years. So you got to understand something, all right? This is work just as much as anything else. Is it fun? Of course it is. It's super fun. And the way that I make my living...
It's only super fun to him because he knows other people, not everybody could do it. If everybody could do it, and profit off of it and make a living, it wouldn't be fun to him. Keep that in mind.
Is by saying, if you like what I'm giving you for free, please willingly pay me. So let me pose a question to you.
I mean, if you like what I'm doing that I'm giving you away for free, where could you go and put it behind a paywall and find people to pay for it? Ask him that. Same thing with Rich's dumbass. Oh, sorry, that million sub channel's gone now. But how the fuck are you going to sit there and say, oh, I give you guys content for free? Where were you going to let me remix this. Where were you going to place it? What marketplace did you have or do you know of that someone would actually pay for? That would pay to watch it. It's not so free if there is no demand for it, is there? It's an open market out here. Anybody can do whatever they want. No one is obligated to do a goddamn thing, to be honest. So how is it free in an open market? You know what I'm saying? When there's no demand for it. Because if people actually had the option to pay for it, would they have paid to watch a Review Tech USA? Would they have paid to watch a Wings of Redemption? Would they have paid to watch a DSP? Would they have paid to watch me? Would they have paid to watch any detractor if the circumstances were different? Something to think about. That's the reason why you don't ever hear detractors, trolls, haters, or critics in any community say dumb shit like that. That we put out content for free. I've never heard not one of them say it.
All right, to everyone out there who is very skeptical of people like me who do content creation for a living. Let's say that your job was different. What if you were not paid for hourly wages?
Okay, so I'm paid a salary, which I am paid a salary. Now what are you going to tell me?
Or you were not a salaried worker.
Oh, well, we got to push the goalpost back, I guess. All right, fair enough. So then I'm a beggar? If I'm not catching an hourly wage and I'm not catching salary, then either I'm a contractor, which is a thing, or we're e-begging.
Okay, what if the way you worked is that you went out there to your job and you worked your ass off 8 hours? Let's say that your job was different. What if you were not paid for hourly wages, or you were not a salaried worker, okay? What if the way you worked is that you went out there to your job and you worked your ass off 8 hours, and then your employer decided, based on the quality of your work, whether or not they wanted to pay you today. So you're a construction worker and you put up a whole fucking brick wall today and you busted your ass to do it. It's optional if your employer decides to pay you today. They may be...
Yeah, no construction worker would have agreed to that premise. That's so unrealistic, but whatever. When you're in your own bubble, you believe whatever you think is real.
like, well, you did a great job, we like what you're doing, and we're going to pay you a ton of money today. Or they could say, you know what, I'm just not in a good mood, I think you did crap today, you get $0. You did it for free, good job. That's essentially what every content creator is doing, right? That's what we're doing. We're putting out content completely for free on the internet, and we're saying, hey, if you like what we do, thanks so much for supporting me, please crowdfund me. That's not e-begging. That's not begging at all. Putting out a product and then asking for crowdfunding to continue putting out said free product is not begging whatsoever. The whole word beg means that you want something for free that you don't deserve, but you need it because you need it to stay alive. Or
yeah, that basically sounds like you. On top of the fact that you're always begging. You're always begging. You're always reminding people to do this or do that so you can keep doing what you're doing. That's what makes it begging. You shouldn't have to instill in people, you know what I'm saying, to give you money so you can keep doing this. On top of the fact that the reason why it's really comes across as e-begging and it's belligerent is the fact that, hey, if you guys don't give me this certain amount of money, I can't keep doing this. Which is the part that he never admits to. He never admits to doing that. That's why he gets so mad when people call him a wage quitter, which is what he is, and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So you fear-mongering people to support you is not advertising. You can go to hell with that.
for support, you know what I mean? That's different than putting out a product and saying, hey, if you like the product, crowdfund. So every single person that says e-beg in regards to a content creator is a salty motherfucker who's jealous of what they're doing and should look in the mirror and say, damn, maybe I should stop focusing on the success of others and focus on me being successful.
Now, this is someone who blatantly admits to being jealous of other content creators and going after said content creators because he was jealous of them. Keep that in mind.
Then maybe then I wouldn't be so salty about other success to begin with, because I'd actually be having something positive to work on rather than something negative, which is the whole mentality of the internet. When you're so mad about someone else being successful, all you do is focus on bringing that person down instead of focusing on your own success. And how productive is that? The answer is it's not.
You mean like the Cannon brothers? You mean like how successful they were with SRK, like how they were so successful with Evo, like how salty you were when they ended up selling Evo for a crazy amount of money, yet they still run it? You mean like that? You mean like that? Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a complete waste of your time and efforts. But that's the entire notion behind trolling, and that's why trolling is stupid. Okay, then. Let's continue. Lego Mario tipped me $1 and said, which band do you think is better? Motley Crue, Def Leppard, or
You gotta love it when he thinks he says something that makes him seem relevant and he's not. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the fourth and final, which is just a clip, to be honest with you, just to put a nail in the coffin on him wanting to, you know, be a Captain Save-A-Ho and how he has value and the internet would respect him if he was allowed to do so. Is fucking ridiculous, by the way. Let's see. This last clip is from Street Fighter Throwback Session, September 11th of 2020, Part 1. It's gonna be short. I'm gonna play it a few times because I want to make sure that I've instilled this in on people. Here we go.
Marvel was supposed to revive at EVO, then 2020 happened and Mr. Wizard became a pedo. No. Mr. Wizard always was a pedo. And everyone knew it too. But, yeah, you're right. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was supposed to revive at EVO, and it never happened because EVO didn't happen. I'll try Akuma. I was supposed to pick Akuma and Third Strike as well tonight.
Prepare to strike. Now.
Marvel was supposed to revive at EVO, then 2020 happened and Mr. Wizard became a pedo. No. Mr. Wizard always was a pedo. And everyone knew it too. But, Yeah, you're right. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was supposed to revive at EVO, and it never happened because EVO didn't happen.
I got the people.
I'll try Akuma. I'm supposed to pick Akuma and Third Strike as well tonight.
Prepare to strike. Now.
I don't know about y'all, but if you knew that there was someone running around taking advantage of children, but you were so hung up on these Cannon brothers and all of the success for stuff that they built. Remember, they built SRK. They built and they started EVO. And you were willing to let pedophile shit go to the side because you mad at them because you didn't get the tournament rankings you want. I don't know. It sounds like you're just as much part of the problem as anybody else, to be honest. So that whole nonsense about he could have, it's people like myself who are at fault for him not being taken seriously. It's people like us who have watered down or diluted his relevancy on the internet. I don't know, especially when you have 2 cases now. This has been around. There's actually more than this, but he's had multiple cases of defending pedophiles as long as he can get what he wants. How bad or how mad was he at Mr. Wiz for what happened to one of the victims being allegedly his friend being taken advantage of when he's sitting here crying about this shit? And then he's even admitted that, oh, I don't even really care about the Mr. Wiz part so much because the Cannon brothers are still in charge. They're still running shit. That's my issue. So what's your issue there then? Is your issue that you believe allegedly they somehow screwed you out of tournament rankings? Or is your issue that they were defending pedophiles? Which one was it? Any of you who've watched Phil long enough, I think you guys already know. I don't need to go any further with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of that nonsense. Shit. I can't believe he said that shit. And he thought he was going to get away with it clean. Holy shit. Holy shit. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yet again, happy Goutmas. Season's greetings. Happy holidays. I'll see you guys next year. 2025. Try to start off fresh and strong and all that. And we'll see how we go with it. Like I said, I'll be working on at least laying out the outline for Goutmas early this in 2025, so I'll have a better idea of what's going on with that. And there's some new things that I want to try on the channel moving forward. Should be fun. And so on and so forth. And like I said, getting into this, I'm kind of really excited about this topic video thing because it gives me a chance to be a bit more direct on a particular topic. Videos will probably be short, which is not something I'm used to, but you know, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll see. Because I say they'll be short and they never really are. Anywho, take care of yourselves, guys. Like I said, have a happy holidays. Hope to see you guys in 2025. For whatever reason that I don't, I appreciate your time. To be honest with you, more than anything, it meant a lot. And I don't think I can really say any more than that. So for the Snort Report, for DSPNEWS, for 12 days till Goutmas, for everybody here, just thank you. Thank you very much. Big ups to Chio18. Big ups to Proper, James Lester. Big ups to my peers and whatnot. And I'll see you guys next year, hopefully. Later, people. Take care of yourselves.
Wait.